What is up, everybody? You know this is Dense Pixels. You know that I'm your host, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hello.
And Carrie.
What's up?
And look, we're a day late because we originally planned on recording this yesterday, and then 19 children were murdered at an elementary school in Texas. And I don't think any of us are really particularly feeling like yucking up about the video game industry after that.
Nah.
If you'd like to hear my extended thoughts on this along with Jay's, I'm recording Look Forward right after this, and I'm still pretty good and mad. So if you're looking for extended politics talk, we're not going to belabor the point too much here on this show. But since you guys don't have Look Forward to be on this week, if there's anything that you care to say, and nothing is fine as well, the floor is yours, briefly.
I mean, I don't know what to say that hasn't already been said.
Sure.
I'm not quite at let's just burn the whole thing down and start over again, but like I don't have any other options, right? So if you came to me with like let's just burn it down and start over, I'm like, all right, I get it, So yeah, I don't really know what to say, man.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to say.
Yeah, like, look, I ain't got kids and I ain't gonna have kids. But like, I don't know how we can like keep doing this, like we just let kids die because we worship the mighty gun in this country. And I think it's indicative of how poisoned this country really is in a lot of ways. There was a tweet I saw earlier that I fully agree with, which is, listen, there are plenty of responsible gun owners who just enjoy hunting or going to the range. And I want to make it clear that I don't care at all. And those people can find another fucking hobby. That's where I'm at this point. No one needs guns. We really don't. The Second Amendment was written when we were still concerned of like the British coming back.
Yeah.
And we don't really
the bullet had not yet been invented when the Second Amendment was written.
Yeah, like
not just the semi-automatic or automatic gun, but the bullet, the invention of the of modern ammunition.
Yeah, so it's hard not to feel like just completely worn out by it at this point, because it's like it's every fucking week now, right? It's like we had the incident in the Buffalo supermarket last week, right? I'm not just making that up, that was literally a week ago. And now we've got another dozen and a half literal children dead, but no one in this country with any degree of power wants to actually do anything. So like,
here's the thing, Carrie. There was a shooting in between those two shootings.
How fucked up is that? That like there's so many of them that they all simply blur together at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Jesus Christ, man.
But yeah. So again, Look Forward in your podcast feed, lookforwardshow.com to get much more discussion on this later with me and Jay. I would say that's the end of the politics talk on your video game show, but
just getting started.
Impossible. Impossible in this day and age. But some good news. To lead the show off. We have, for the first time, a contingent of workers that work at a video game developer in the United States have unionized. Raven Software's QA team voted on unionization. It was 18-3 in favor of unionization. And so they have formed a union. The next steps, of course, are to negotiate with a contract with Activision Blizzard, and I guess by proxy Microsoft eventually. But it will shock no one at all to learn that Activision Blizzard was doing just about everything that they could to make sure that this vote didn't happen, and if it did happen, that enough people voted against it to knock it down.
We literally talked about this last week, that they were caught union busting again, and that's why they were like, look at our diversity tool, look over here.
Yeah.
Don't look at this. Look at this.
Yes. The National Labor Relations Board announced that it, quote, found merit to allegations that Activision Blizzard allegedly threatened employees for discussing working conditions, wages, and ongoing investigations under the guise of a, quote, overly broad social media policy, according to a statement that the National Labor Relations Board sent over to Polygon. Yeah, they were trying to make this not happen as much as possible. And there's not much more to the story. Like, we don't have dire specifics here. But again, it's commonly said about a lot of things in this country that if it wasn't a big deal, they wouldn't try so hard to stop you from doing it. Like it's most commonly heard when it comes to voter suppression of especially black people in this country. And that's why it's a big deal. Unionization is no different. Like, companies can sit there and say, oh, it's not a big deal if people form unions. But the fact that they go to such great lengths to stop it from happening tells you that it's really not in the corporation's interest to have that happen under their umbrella. Which means, more than likely, it's usually going to be a pretty good thing for workers.
Yeah, I just I like why would I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of speechless about everything, man, because like even the thing that I love, right? Video games, I use it as an escape. And I can't escape because because contrary to what people who are pro gun and anti everything else, I do have a brain, and video games don't rot it, right? Like, I'm waiting for the argument that this psycho who murdered 20 kids, he played video games, and that's why. Like, I'm waiting for that same hired ass argument.
They've already brought up all the greatest.
Yeah, they've already trotted that shit out.
Yeah.
I mean, what cracks me up about that argument these days is that the most popular games in the world right now are like Minecraft and Roblox, which are games that are focused on like creativity and collaboration. But we're still out here being like, video games, they'll fuck you up.
Oh God. But yeah, look, unions I don't think are a bad thing. Now, if you're one of those selfish gamers who are like, well, I need my game the day that you advertise it, and like if you got butthurt over Starfield getting delayed,
Oh boy.
then you probably don't care about the rights and well-being of the people making your games. So unions probably aren't a good thing for you, but like for people with empathy, and who understand that the people making your games are human. There's a human being behind that, on the other side of that angry tweet. This is a good thing for them. Nobody think about your shitty job, right? Think about your shitty job for a second, and think about like you work hard on your shitty job, and it's the same for them, right? Like, it might not be a shitty job to them, but like they shouldn't be treated like shit just because they have their dream job. Like,
let me help you equate it even more. So like, let's say your job is let's say there's things about your job that you really don't like. Let's say that you feel like you're underpaid. Let's say that you feel like some of your working conditions aren't ideal and up to snuff and things of that nature. Now, if you feel that way, chances are other people that you work with also feel that way. But the challenge is if you go to management individually and say, hey, I want a raise, I want better working conditions, I want this, that, or the other, you're probably not going to be very successful. But if many of you all go to management and say, we want raises collectively, we want better working conditions collectively, it forces them to take notice. That's the whole point of collective bargaining. And that's why unions are important. The reason why corporations have worked so hard to weaken unions in American labor society over the past pretty much 4 decades at this point is because they understand that not having a collective working together to improve pay, working conditions, things of that nature, is a lot easier for corporations to hold you back. Everyone talks about the good old days of the 50s, 60s, and the 70s to some extent, where America was so economically prosperous. That's in large part because of unionization.
Yeah.
You could be a factory worker at an automotive plant in the 50s and support a family of 4 and have a house and have a car and have food on the table every night and not be scraping by.
On a single income too.
On a single income. Yeah, your wife stayed at home.
Your wife could stay at home,
yeah,
raise the kids by herself.
And that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
Because we've lost, in large part of which, because we've lost this union culture that the United States used to be. And I feel like that the worm is starting to turn a little bit back in the other direction. And I think that stories like this are a positive one. And again,
I mean, we're seeing it happen in other industries as well. We're seeing Starbucks unions come to fruition. We're seeing Amazon unions start to come up as well. So I like to think that at large, we're going to be moving back to that because it is largely beneficial for the most amount of people. The only people who it's not beneficial are the 2 douchebags at the top who make money off of stiffing their workers on fair compensation. So yeah, good for Activision Blizzard. I hope this starts, or more specifically, good for the folks at Raven. Hopefully, this starts somewhat of a domino effect, like we've again seen in other companies like Amazon and whatnot. And I mean, no one likes reading about crunch culture, but it still happens so frequently. And the only way that we're going to get rid of crunch culture, among numerous other cultural issues in the video game industry, is through unionization. So I'm glad this is finally starting to happen.
But here's the thing, right? No one likes to read about it. That's it.
True. I mean, that's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Because that means that they have to confront the fact that they're giving money to a company that engages in such behavior.
Right. When people don't have a problem, if people just want their game to come out when they say it's going to come out. Crunch be damned.
Yeah.
They want it to be perfect, right? They want it to be perfect. They want it to come out the night before they say it's supposed to be, the midnight on the day it's supposed to be released. But they don't want to hear about people working, double shifts and sleeping in offices and shit. They don't want to know how the sausage is made. They just want to eat their fucking sausage. And you can't have it both ways, folks. If you are just virtue signaling, all right, well, fuck off. But if you really care, you won't complain when a game gets delayed. You won't complain when a game has a couple of bugs that need to get patched. You won't do all the complaining that I see people do all the time. And look, I'm no better, right? I used to be like that. I used to be like that all the time. Hell, I was kind of like that when they said Spider-Man was coming out in 2023, right? and but it is what it is, man. If you want these, if you give a shit about human beings and working conditions like people claim they do, stuff like this has to happen. Yeah. And guess what? And guess what? Guess what? The price of games is going to keep rising, like it is.
It
And
should have
some-
started rising 15 years ago.
and it's gonna keep rising, and it's going to keep rising as a direct result of companies of people trying to unionize and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Like, we are gonna have to pay that, but
I
I
mean,
also
let's
pay my
consider the
taxes,
fact
so
that
I don't have a
like
problem with
you can look at old adverts for video games from literally 25, 30 years ago, and games that they were selling in the 90s were $60.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
I
yeah,
as I've said many times in this podcast, I paid $69.99 for my copy of Final Fantasy 3, nay
Ugh.
Final Fantasy 6 back in 1995. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's new.
No.
Yeah, it's I agree with everything you guys are saying here. And you should want that. And look, there's so many fucking games right now. Every single person listening to this podcast right now has a backlog of games that they need to get to. So when a game gets delayed,
Just
then
play
that's,
something in your
yeah,
backlog.
play something in your backlog. Some more good news. Frankly, I'm surprised this is just happening.
Me too.
You can now choose your pronouns in The Sims 4. EA is finally, well, not finally, but EA added a update to the game that allows you to choose your Sims pronouns. So you can go they, them, she, her, he, him, or create your own, apparently, if you want to create custom pronouns.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, you don't really think about that until someone points it out to you, right? Like,
Yeah.
I used to play Sims a long time ago, man, and it was it was pretty robust back then when I used to play it, but like, I can only imagine what it is now. And then, oh yeah, we've never been able to like choose pronouns. I mean, maybe they all did, right? But they speak Simlish, so we just couldn't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all the text that crops up will feature pronouns as well. I mean, this is not the first time that EA and EA has tried to add more inclusive options into The Sims 4. Previously, the game used pronouns attached to body type, so using either the male or female gender symbols to choose. There are custom options in that panel that allow players to be more flexible with gender, choosing whether a Sims prefers masculine or feminine clothing. Can they get pregnant, or do they sit while using the toilet? These updates were added in 2016 and were, widely celebrated by gender diverse players. But the non-binary community has still sort of had to suffer through having their representation not being present in the game. So yeah, I mean, why not? If they can code it into the game, why not code it into the game, right? For people who don't care, it literally will not impact your experience whatsoever. But for those of us that do care, it's cool. Why not?
And for people that are hostile to it, they're probably not playing The Sims anyway. I'd have to.
No,
imagine.
the people who are hostile to it
Yeah.
are probably not spending a lot of time playing The Sims. I feel like for me, like, I played a lot of Sims when I was a kid because I didn't have a console, but I could play The Sims and Sims 2 on like the family PC. So I did a lot of that, and I completely passed over Sims 3. But when Sims 4 came out, I played a decent bit of that. At this point, I simply like designing houses. I watch a lot of HGTV because
That's the only reason I started playing The Sims, by the way, because I wanted to just build houses. And
Look-
my father, he was like, because he saw me doing it, and he was because I wanted to, much like George Costanza, I always wanted to be an architect. And my father, he saw it, and he was like, "Oh, Mike, you designed that house?" It's like, wow. And it's like, maybe you should study architecture. I'm like, this is not architecture. This is a video game. This is the simplest form of building a house that there is. Like, it's not. Oh, but it all starts from. You got to start somewhere. Like, all right, man. All right.
Well, I mean, look, for a lot of people, I'm sure designing homes in The Sims eventually did lead to a
Yeah, but Carrie, I
career.
was 27.
Okay, well,
like, what the fuck? Like, I already have my.
I already had a
electrical
degree.
engineering
No, I understand that. For me, it's like, look, I might season my food, but I am still a white woman at the end of the day, and I watch a lot of HGTV.
I don't think that's exclusively a white woman thing. I think that's just I'm a homeowner now. I have to watch
Yeah.
HGTV.
Yeah, I feel like that's certainly part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watch Love It or List It and House Hunters and
Love It or List
all
It
that.
is one of my least favorite shows because it's like sometimes what they pull off is cool, but I don't like the weird sexual tension between the hosts on that
Oh, I
show.
love it. I love it.
No,
That's why I watch it. That's why I watch it. It's all fake, right? It's all fake. They've already chosen the house and all that bullshit, right? Like it's contrived. But I love all that weird sexual tension. Like will they, won't they? Like that's my 40-year-old porn. That's what does it. Just
Anyway,
a couple
Sim's
of
good.
midlife Canadians.
God.
Will they, won't they? This is my moonlighting, for God's sakes.
That is a reference that I have to imagine like less than 3% of our listeners are gonna get.
Like I barely
get it, and I was alive during that time. Christ.
Wow. A+, Micah.
All right, folks. Look, we I can't do an Alex Jones, but I'm gonna try. I can't do one as well as Brad, but I'm gonna try.
Oh boy.
We this is a day-to-day operation here. We got to keep the lights on, and the only way to do that is to go to denseprincess.com /premium. When you go to denseprincess.com /premium, for $5 a month, $50 for the year, you get access to all the premium slate of podcasts, the airing of grievances, No Time to Bleed, the Man with the Golden Tongues, Upstage Conversations, and Look Forward political podcasts. Me being a political man, those two McCartney and Cole over there, they don't really know what they're talking about. But it's interesting to listen to what two dummies have to say about politics in the world. Not like me, Alex Jones. I'm a genius. I'm a certified stud. But it has been known to when you go to denseprincess.com /premium, you have been known to make sure that the frickin' frogs aren't gay, and it's full of bone broth. All right, I can't do this.
I'm gonna say I don't know. I don't know. I didn't hear anyone say Beetlejuice's name 3 times, but somehow he appeared.
Wow.
Go to youtube.com /densepixels and subscribe and like, and you can see my beautiful new lens that I have in my very hot office down here. You can see Brad's slightly overly lit face, and you can see Carrie and her purple highlights in her hair. Look, you want to talk to us and other like-minded individuals? Go to denspixels.com /fans and get invited into our Discord. There you can talk about a number of things, and you can post in the post office at any time, and we will go back on the next show and read all of your questions, comments, and concerns. I think that's everything.
Yeah, it's going to be a good post office this week too. Daniel keeps asking the hard-hitting questions that seek to divide us. So
Daniel's awesome. Daniel is single-handedly providing very, very interesting content.
yes.
For the three of us.
So we'll get to that though. But not before we return to politics, and this one is kind of like this particular topic is kind of near and dear to my heart. So there is a wealth fund called the Public Investment Fund. Which
I covered this fund extensively during my brief period of time working as a financial reporter. So this is a very bizarre intersection for me.
Well, they keep popping up into realms of my life because recently the Public Investment Fund purchased Newcastle United Football Club, Carrie's favorite club, as it happens.
It's true.
and so they have they are now the owners of Newcastle. And they're basically the Public Investment Fund is going around and buying their way into as many high profile businesses as possible. They have a 5% stake in Capcom. They own almost all of SNK currently. They have smaller stakes in EA, Activision, Blizzard, Take-Two, all these companies. And now they own 5% of Nintendo, which makes it Nintendo's fifth largest shareholder, investing close to $3 billion in Nintendo. And a lot of you might ask yourself, why is that a big deal? What the heck is the Public Investment Fund? Why does it matter? Well, the Public Investment Fund is controlled by Mohammed bin Salman, who just happens to be the crown prince and de facto king, essentially, of Saudi Arabia. And I have to say, for the record, that there's no evidence that the private investment fund or the public investment fund is just a basic, Saudi Arabian slush fund that's nothing but a PR tool for the kingdom to use. But at the same time, the public investment fund is very much a slush fund that is a PR tool that the kingdom uses to improve their standing in the world so that people don't look at things like, terrible treatment of women, murdering of journalists, violent quelling of dissent and other things that happens in Saudi Arabia all the time.
Yeah. Whole lot of human rights infractions going on over there in
just
Saudi Arabia. Just a few.
And now they own a significant stake of your favorite video game company. Now, will this have any tangible impact on the product that Nintendo's put out? Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
No, literally they do this, and they, again, as you said, they own non-small portions of numerous other high-profile companies, and I mean, this is largely them trying to diversify in the wake of the world at large starting to finally move away from oil a little bit, which is otherwise responsible for all of the country's wealth, like all of it, like literally all of it. So, look, I mean, honestly, this could literally just be the result of one of their advisors being like, hey, we have a shot at buying another video game stock. Do we want to do it? And then someone going, yeah, cool. I doubt this was them being like, we want to control what Mr. Nintendo is doing. No, this is them just diversifying their fucking stock portfolio. So,
yeah. But again, it just serves as a reminder that though you may desire it, you cannot escape politics no matter where you turn in the video game industry, even good old boy Nintendo. And someone said, like, this is a bad look for Nintendo. Look, Nintendo, they trade on the Kyoto Stock Exchange, like it's a public stock exchange. They can't control and they can't dictate who can and cannot buy stock.
It's not really a bad look for Nintendo.
Yeah, it's a nothing look for Nintendo. It's just like,
it's not like Nintendo was like, hey,
Nintendo didn't court Saudi Arabia to spend money on them.
It's like, if you give us $1 billion, we'll come to your capital city once a year for 10 years and perform for you. It's not like that.
Once a year if it's a bad year. Typically it's twice.
Right, that's right. It's 2 years. It's 2 years.
They just announced the November show.
Jeez.
The Wrestle company did recently.
Oh man.
Yeah. So.
Well,
I mean, but again, this not to get too far down the path, but I mean, it is quite, like, the Saudi Arabian government is pressing hard to, like, get into legitimately and popular businesses, and it's whitewashing. Like, not whitewashing is probably not the right word, but it's like when they bought Newcastle, like, everyone called it like sports washing. Like you're using this big shiny thing to distract from all the other bad things.
I mean, that's probably part of it for sure. It's just a PR move for them.
And look, it gets them invited to the table. It lets them be present at, like, these super upscale events and things of that nature and bullshit like that. It's gross, but unfortunately, there really is nothing that we can do about it because they have the money. And
I mean,
they're going to throw it out. So
ultimately, like, what is just as likely to happen is that they're going to be unhappy with something with Nintendo and sell all that stock a year from now and put that money into something else, because that's just how finance works.
Yeah.
So
we'll see on that. But I just, like I said, I just found it interesting because they, in many walks of life, in things that I pay attention to, they just seem to be popping up more and more as we go. Speaking of people popping up in unwanted places, Carrie, why don't you go ahead and take the next story?
Sure. This week in Cops or Shitheads, former Los Angeles police officer Evan Baltiera was arrested this week for stalking and harassing a Twitch streamer who who goes by the name Nolly Online, who primarily streams World of Warcraft. Baltiera had been stalking and harassing her since 2020. He had been threatening her, her boyfriend, and their families with violence, as well as spreading images with her face being edited onto naked bodies because, you know, normal people do these sort of things every day, right? Normal, well-adjusted, upstanding citizens who work for the police do these sort of things all the time. In any case, the harassment escalated. A restraining order was filed. A civil agreement was signed by Baltier saying he would stop harassing the streamer, but lo and behold, he did not actually stop. He doxed her, you know, do all sorts of shit. Anyway, this guy was arrested by the FBI. Found apparently the FBI found many saved photoshopped nudes of the streamer, as well as evidence that he owns the email address from which a number of harassing images had originated. He faces, unfortunately, what is only a 5-year maximum sentence in federal prison if convicted. So I hope he goes to jail. Hope he has a fun time in jail. But you know what's the fucked up thing? Is he will get out of jail, and because he's a fucking former cop and former Marine, he will find no problem finding a job elsewhere.
Again, I remind you of my my one of my great life theories, perhaps my greatest life theory, is that if 5% of the general population are fucking gross assholes, then 5% of any subsection of that population is going to be gross assholes. And unfortunately, when it comes to like law enforcement, things like that, those guys have a lot of tools at their disposal that normal people don't have that makes it easier for them to be really gross assholes. So,
yeah,
unfortunate.
God damn, this is a real fucking downer of a day, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Nah, look, it's not your fault that psychos running around stalking women and shit. Like really, with technology the way it is, and like you got access to anybody, and you got access to like pics and shit. Like, do you need to stalk people? Do you need to stalk people?
Well, like I said, it's an interesting phenomenon that has been exacerbated by, especially, you know, the popularity of video apps, especially social video apps like, you know, YouTube, Twitch, things of that nature. That I have to imagine that the ability to have like these parasocial relationships with personalities has just like increased by magnitudes over what it used to be back in the day. Like, I mean, you used to get, you know, shit like, I don't remember which murderer it was. I think it was the guy that killed John Lennon. Like, you know, like was in love with like Jodie Foster, or some shit like that. Like that was, you know, bad enough. And that's just when you go, you know, went to see a Jodie Foster movie once every couple of years.
That's what I'm saying. Like, at least back then, I mean, this is going to sound like I'm trying to justify stalking. I'm not trying to justify stalking, but like, at least back then, like there was some like real distance, right? Like you couldn't just Google Jodie Foster, unzip your pants and have a good time or whatever he wanted to do, right? Like now you can. Like I need more people to masturbate, is what I'm saying. Like I need more people. Like post nut clarity is a thing, folks, and I'm gonna need people to. I'm gonna need
as
people
opposed
to,
to the pre-nut psychosis.
Exactly. Like I'm gonna need people to just masturbate, get it out of your system, and then you're like, yo, what the fuck was I thinking?
if it wasn't such like a serious week, that would probably be the title of the show. I don't think I can justify titling the show though. We think you should masturbate, and then opening the show talking about the murder of 19 children.
Not great.
So, but just know that in a normal week, that's probably what the show title would be.
Oh,
Put it
man.
in the liner notes.
We need subheadings. That's what we need. We need subheadings. We also need you to go to densepixels.com/Amazon and buy some stuff. Like I'm at densepixels.com/Amazon right now. And you know what you should buy? You should buy a Wacom Intuos wireless graphics drawing tablet for Mac, PC, Chromebook, and Android, medium or large, and you should send it to me because I'm in the market for one. But you should only do it if you're going to densepixels.com/Amazon, because going to densepixels.com/Amazon is the only way to access Amazon, the Amazon storefront. It's a deal that we worked out with good old Jeff, J-Dog, as we call him. And yeah, that's the only way to purchase anything from Amazon is to go to densepixels.com/Amazon. So you do that, helps yourself out, helps me out, helps Carrie out, helps Brad out, helps J-Dog out, and everybody's happy.
Excellent. New release week, there's some stuff that came out. Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds, which is a mobile game that's also coming to PC, releases. Roller Champions, which is a game that Ubisoft has had like on the shelf for like 4 years, comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Think Rocket League, but like roller derby. Sniper Elite 5 comes to PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Arcade Spirits, the new challengers, comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Cal the Kangaroo comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. The Top Gun free add-on to Microsoft Flight Simulator comes to Xbox and PC. So if you wanted to fly in Maverick's plane, you can do that. And then Pac-Man Museum Plus comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. We're not quite at the free games for the month. That'll probably be on next week's show, but we do have some information on what is coming to Game Pass next month if you have an Xbox. For Honor Marching Fire Edition is coming on June 1st, and then Assassin's Creed Origins is going to be there a week later, and then on June 21st, Shadowrun Returns, a remaster of the Shadowrun trilogy, is going to be available on Xbox Game Pass. So again, more good shit coming to Xbox, even if you're not getting those first-party games in a timely fashion as you would want to. We go to the post office, and we are asked a question by Jace, who says, quick question, is it just me, or are RPGs nowadays long in the tooth?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like I don't need an RPG. I don't necessarily need. I think Jace, I don't know how old you are, but I think you're growing up and you have way more responsibilities now, and you don't have time to sit around and play a 100-hour RPG. And look, I 100% understand. The reason I fell off of Persona the first time is because it came out, or I bought it in a time where like it was super busy. And the only reason I went back to it is because it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I had extra time to sit there and play an RPG that literally took me like 113 hours, and I still didn't get everything out of it.
Yeah. Well, he also asked, what is the ideal length for an RPG, in our opinion?
It depends. Like, I think there are RPGs that are perfect at 15 to 20 hours. And I think there are RPGs that are perfect at 80 to 100 hours. And I think it largely depends on how the game is structured, because, like, you know, Golden Sun, I can sit and finish in 11 hours. It's shorter if I'm feeling particularly motivated. I can do that in a single sitting. And I think it's great, obviously. but I think Golden Sun is just as good of an RPG as Persona, which tend to run 80 to 100 hours. Then you've got plenty of stuff in between. Like a lot of your Final Fantasies are closer to like 40 to 50 hours to start to finish. So I don't think, you know, if the game is good, if it's structured well, if it's paced well, then sure, fucking go 100 hours. I'll play all of it and I'll enjoy every second of it. But if you can tell the story in 40, don't waste a lot of time trying to stretch it to 60. Looking at you, Bravely Default.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yo,
I think that's the key though. Is Carrie's bang on as far as like what content are you delivering and how are you telling that story? Like, so he mentions he's working through Ghost of Tsushima, and he wants to wrap up the story, but he said he's around 70 hours. I finished Ghost of Tsushima in like 45 hours. And I actually 100% of the game in 45 hours. So I'm not. I maybe you're just taking the scenic route through the game, whereas I was like kind of bulldozing it. But I finished the main campaign in that game in about 35 hours, give or take. Now there came a point where that I do with all RPGs where I get about 2/3 through and I'm like, all right, I'm either stopping playing or I'm just going to mainline the rest of the story because I need to fucking get done. I mean, ideally for me. I probably cap like I start unless your story is so compelling that I'm just like sucked in. I'm usually losing interest around hour 40 or 50 if you're belaboring the point a little bit.
I mean, the reason why I don't mind the Atlas RPGs going that long is because I feel like Atlas does a really good job at creating a full cast of characters that you want to go out of your way to spend one-on-one time with, which is why those games run that long, is because you're doing all these little side things and whatnot. Like, sure, you can say, fuck the social links. I'm just going to blast through, and you can do that, but
yeah,
that's
you
not
miss out
necessarily
on
along the spirit of the game,
you miss out on 30 hours of content doing that sometimes.
Right. So I don't
yeah.
I don't know that I would necessarily sit here and say like there's a sweet spot or an ideal length for RPGs as a genre, because RPGs are so diverse. I mean, Skyrim and Persona are both RPGs, but they are not even remotely the same game.
I will never understand how people can pump like 200 hours into one save file on Skyrim. I don't get it because like it's like you're exhausting the narrative content in that game at like 100 hours max.
Yeah, I like it's all about the like how deep the world goes and just being like, all right, what's around this corner? Where have I not been before? Like, I can see on my map that there's an icon that's there, but I haven't discovered it yet. So what's over there? And that's what's addicting to me about those kind of games.
Yeah.
So.
AK Houston asks or says, I like video games, but probably spend about 100 hours a year playing solo. I have an 8-year-old who's into games on the Switch, so I play with him when he'll have me. How do you real gamers plan to balance out your own gaming with or around your kids' potential interests? So me and Carrie are unfortunately out on this question because Carrie is childless and my child does not play games the same way that I play games. But Micah, this is something that you will probably have to think about in the coming years. So how do you plan on balancing gaming with your son versus gaming on your own?
Kind of how I do it now, where we get him to bed toot sweet. I keep him on a regimen, and 7:30 we're getting up there, right? We're getting ready. We are in the bed. We are in our night clothes and all that good stuff. By 10 of 8. At 10 of 8, we sit down, we read a book, we talk about our day. At 8:15, you got to use the bathroom one last time, and at 8:20, your head better hit that fucking pillow. Because when I want time to myself, if I'm not spending time with the wife, or at 8:30, I'm down here doing what I want to do. Now, if he gets into video games, I'm not gonna like steer him away from it, but if he gets into it, I'll figure out what type of games I want him to play, You know what I mean? Like I don't want him to play like shooting games and stuff when he's just starting, right? But I'll think of something, and we'll play together. But I also don't want him to like right now he has a tablet, and he's just kind of like, can I have a tablet? Can I have a tablet? Like he's addicted to it, and it's like, no, you don't need the tablet to eat your food, right? So I gotta balance it. I gotta make sure he doesn't get addicted to it.
That part is tough. We're detoxing my son right now on stimulants.
Yeah,
it went to the extreme. So, but it's working pretty well. All right, so here's Daniel. Daniel, of course, asking, cake or pie, and Mike and Carrie showing their ass on the last time that everybody was on.
Us. Sure, okay, sure.
And I feel like we're heading this way again. So I'm super curious. Daniel just asked us, what is your thermostat set at?
I'm very curious what sub 60-degree temperature the white people's thermostat is at.
No, dude. So during the summer, we set it at 78.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you kidding me? 78?
We have a small house, all right? Like I live in a rancher. So it doesn't take a lot to keep our house particularly cool. Sometimes we'll go down to 76 if it's a particularly hot day. And in the winter it's like 68.
All right, I'm down with the 68 in the winter.
Yeah.
Like, that's all well and good. Micah, what is your summertime temperature?
What is our thermostat set at? I think our thermostat is set at it fluctuates between it's usually set at like 76, and very rarely do we take it down to 74.
You guys are insane. You guys are both fucking crazy.
I mean, look, I supplement that. Like, we've got ceiling fans and whatnot. Like,
I don't care.
I sit around all day in my little white girl, like, barely there fucking booty shorts. God
has seen fit to bless man with Freon-based cooling. And we live in, like, one of the most humid fucking hellholes, like, imagined on this earth when it shouldn't be. Like, we're far enough north that we shouldn't be subject to this level of fucking depravity as far as the humidity goes in fucking Maryland. And you guys take this bountiful gift that's brought down to you from the heavens and science, and you say, you know what? I'm going to run it at 78. I'm going to run it at 76 during the summertime. I could be sitting here comfortable, and instead I'm going to be fucking sweating my nuts off because I don't want to run my heating bill up too much. 72 degrees is the correct air conditioning temperature.
72.
Yes,
Get
72.
Out of here, man. Get out. Once again, Brad off on an island somewhere in the frigid white north. Get out of here, man. Nah, yo. Nah. And that is exactly why I have my thermostat set where it is, because I do not want to pay Pepco any more than I have to
I
pay.
know that's why it's set where it is. You know why mine set where mine is? Because I can afford to pay BG some fucking money to be comfortable in my house all day. And even then, with the 72 degrees, I still have the ceiling fans going. I'm still wearing my fucking basketball shorts around the house because, yes, 72.
72, dude.
And it's 72 because I'm feeling generous. When I'm in the hotel room, you better believe that shit's on 65. Get the fuck out of here.
Wow, 65 in a hotel room?
Yes.
Dude, I can't fucking deal with AC.
No,
absolutely.
I fucking freeze my balls off.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that shit. You kidding me? No,
No.
On a day like today, no AC on, windows open, fans on, no need for AC.
My AC is on from fucking April to October. That's how we're living in this house.
If it is between
we got a baseball season of AC.
If it is between 62 and 80 degrees, no AC on, windows open, fans on.
You guys are insane.
Oh,
what the hell is wrong with all of you?
Plus,
I live with someone.
I live with someone from Central Florida. Like, she loves the heat. Like, that's all it is. That's and like, Nah, man, I'm cheap and she's from Central Florida. So no, 70, 75, 76. That feels about right. You know what I mean? Like nobody want that. Nah, no. 72, too cold. Get out of here.
Yeah, 72 is way too cold.
You guys are insane. Johnny asks us, did you get any last purchases from the 3DS and Wii U eShops before they went offline? No.
No.
And then he asked me a question, but he's throwing shade at Carrie and asking me this question. When am I going to accept? And this can go to Micah too, frankly, that Square Enix isn't going to do anything with Final Fantasy VI, and are we inhaling more copium than Carrie is with Golden Sun?
No one's inhaling more copium than I am.
That's true, because regardless of how obscure Final Fantasy VI getting a remake would be, there's
at least a quality port out now. Like the Pixel remaster happened.
Yeah, but no, I will never give up that flag, and there'll always be a greater chance that happens than anything to do with Golden Sun 4 in the future. And then Johnny asks the question that really everyone wants to know, as in terms of Micah. Micah, noted ice cream fanatic, loves ice cream. Micah, are you trying the Juneteenth ice cream that Walmart is selling?
So
the great value Juneteenth ice cream.
so one of the problems is that it's great value, right? Like
right.
When I see great value,
that's the problem.
What? That's the issue, right? Have it being branded as Juneteenth, whatever, yo, whatever. Okay, and now that I looked at the thing, and I thought according to the colors, I thought, oh, well, that must be the flavor, right? Like pistachio and cherry and like sherbet or some shit, right? Like, what the fuck? And then I actually look at it, red velvet and cheesecake? Yo, that's the blackest flavored ice cream I've ever heard of.
It sounds delicious.
Okay, I have a question.
100% going to try a red velvet and cheesecake ice cream. Are you serious?
I have a question. When did red velvet cheesecake become like a black flavor?
Nah, yo.
I don't.
Nope. Don't try to take that. Don't try to take that.
No, I mean,
I have always.
We can share it. We can share it.
Look, I
just didn't know that was a thing.
I have listened.
Today.
I have listened to Tiara get hype as shit about red velvet cake. I've heard it. I've heard it.
I'm gonna tell you. Look, we ain't got no problem sharing it, right? Don't take it from us, yo. Don't take it from us. Like black people love red velvet. I love red velvet, yo.
I have loved red velvet for decades.
Well, look, you black men, because I
feel like the evidence is piling up that there's got to be someone I'm related to who's of color between the bass guitar and the red velvet cheesecake and the seasoning of my food. Like,
right? I mean, you might as well be nicknamed Bootsy, for God's sake. Last time I was in New York,
don't disrespect Bootsy Khaled's like that, man. I could never.
Last time I was in New York, I had red velvet pancakes. I am going to, and look, I heard that Walmart, well, all right, look, so this is something that my people need to work on, right? Like people were like, well, they stole that idea, they stole that flavor from a black chef who invented this red velvet and cheesecake flavored ice cream. Yo, it's flavors, yo, it's flavors. Yeah. Right, like you can't like steal flavors, right? Like nobody, Breyers didn't steal vanilla from Turkey Hill. You know what I mean? Like it's flavors.
The thing, like people freak the fuck out about the Juneteenth stuff. I am also like offended as well, but not because of like I'm fine with Walmart celebrating Juneteenth. I'm just upset that like even Juneteenth is not free from the fucking black touch of capitalism. Are you kidding me?
It's the like. They announced, what was it, last year, that Juneteenth was now a national holiday, which is great and long overdue. But I was like, yo, how are we going to commercialize this shit? Like,
yeah, and
here it is. Like,
and I guess that's like where I'm not fully cynical yet. Is even me, who's a cynical asshole, it didn't even occur to me that fucking Walmart and Target would be like, you know what we could do?
Oh, I knew.
Oh, of course.
I didn't think it was going to be ice cream, but I knew.
Yo, there's red velvet and cheesecake. You can just cut my foot off right now because that shit sounds delicious.
Micah, when is your Juneteenth party this year, and did you get your Juneteenth lawn decorations?
Yeah, that's the thing, yo. Like all these holidays, like nobody celebrates holidays, yo. Like they really don't. Like I guarantee you, this weekend is Memorial Day. Does anybody know what Memorial Day is actually for?
Yes, I
Guess
know
what?
Yes.
Guess what? It's not for selling mattresses, right? Like, this is why I'm not like bent out of shape about this. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Or if you're really offended by it, like make them like rebrand it, but like don't get rid of that flavor, yo. That flavor sounds amazing. I'm really stuck on this, yo. Like I need to have this now.
Red velvet fucks. You know what the best part about the red velvet cake is? Fucking cream cheese icing.
Yeah, man. Oh my god, yo. All right, man. All right. And look, if you just said whipped cream, I'd have taken your black card back. I'd have taken it back.
No.
Oh my god!
Act like I don't know what I talked about. You have tasted my baking before, Micah.
Look, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Don't be putting on airs, man. Don't be putting on airs. I will see you next month in June on the 19th.
Okay. All right.
We could celebrate together.
I will make you a red velvet cake.
My birthday's in July. That's what I'll take.
Oh, shit.
I'll take it.
All right.
Cam asks, what percentage chance do we give CM Punk going over Hangman Page for the AEW Championship this Sunday? I feel like that's like a 10% chance. 10%.
I haven't been following a lot of AEW, just like on the periphery. I didn't even know they had a pay-per-view this Sunday. I forget that Hangman Adam Page is the champion because his run hasn't been very memorable. Mm-hmm. No title run is really memorable in AEW right now, except for maybe Jade Cargill, and that's only just because she's undefeated. I don't think CM Punk is going over Hangman this time, but I think he will be a champion, and I think he needs to whatever heel face alignment he is. He needs to go over on the opposite person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what CM Punk needs to do.
They're actually having Hangman be the heel so far in this arrangement. It seems
Really,
it's like they're both playing tweeners, but it seems like that Hangman Page has been more heelish than CM Punk has been. Cam also mentions that apparently Sasha and Naomi left Raw 2 hours before the show started, before they had even announced the match that they supposedly skipped out on, which is not really a good look for Vince and company. Finally, Rogue G asks me, can you recommend a good Formula One podcast, assuming that you have one? So Ricky mentions my go-to. Shift F1 is my favorite podcast. And they also, so the reason I like it, number one, it has 3 video game personalities on it. Like it has Rob Zacny from Waypoint, Daniel Dwyer from NoClip, and Drew Scanlon, formerly of Giant Bomb, that host the show. So like if you listen to other gaming podcasts, there's a chance you might be familiar with some of the voices that you hear there. And they also approach it from a very, they try to remember that people are coming in to listen to the show that don't necessarily follow F1 or maybe just starting to follow F1. So they don't talk about it in like hyper technical terms. And as Ricky also mentions, they do a preseason primer episode every season so that you can learn like who are the drivers, like let's go over the rules, this, that, or the other thing, and talk about all the basics that you might need to know before getting into F1. I also listen to the Mixed Apex podcast, which is a little bit more of a hardcore conversation, but it's pretty informative, and they don't take themselves too seriously. They as they say during their race reviews, they're like, we might not be right, but we're first, and so they seek to get it out as fast as possible to kind of bask in the immediate reaction of the race that just was. And hey, if it's a great race weekend, if you're into racing, because this weekend is both the Monaco Grand Prix, which is considered like the crown jewel of the F1 calendar, even though the race is kind of boring because the circuit sucks. But it's the Monaco Grand Prix, and the Indianapolis 500 is also this weekend. as well. So and the Champions League finals this weekend. There's so much fucking great sports going on. So we got that going for you. And then he said, how's Red Bull going to do Perez dirty? So basically, what happened in the Spanish Grand Prix this past weekend is that Perez was behind his teammate Max Verstappen as Verstappen was battling George Russell for the lead, and Perez was faster. He wanted to pass Verstappen. The team told him no. And then later in the race, the opposite was true, where Verstappen was on a faster strategy, and Perez was leading him. And they basically told Perez, hey, you're not racing the same race as Max. Make sure you let him by if you, when he catches up to you, which Perez was not too happy about. But at the same time, Verstappen is the golden goose. Perez is definitely the number 2 driver at Red Bull. So that's just kind of the way it goes, unfortunately, if you're him. Trust me, he's still getting paid a handsome sum to help Max Verstappen win races. So, and he finished second. So he was the Cal Naughton Jr. To Max Verstappen's Ricky Bobby.
There you go.
Which is not a bad place to be. So that's it for the show this week. Thank you guys very much for watching and listening. As usual, make sure you go to densepixels.com/fans to join the Discord, where you can submit questions to the post office every week. Subscribe to this show and all the other shows in the TNP Studio stable, wherever you download fine podcasts. Go to youtube.com/densepixels. Subscribe to us there as well. You can also follow us on Twitch at densepixels.com. twitch.tv/densepixels. I can never get that one right. And then I am densepixels Brad. Terrence is apparition410 on Twitch, and Carrie is It's Carrie. And Carrie, I know that the concert that I was actually planning on attending on Saturday.
Yeah, well, now you can put a different date on your calendar.
There you
go. So basically, long story short, the BGSO was supposed to have our console war show this past Saturday, and then literally 20 hours before the show, we got a call from the people in charge of the center saying, hey, too bad, so sad. The air conditioning's broken. And since it's supposed to be like 96 degrees all weekend, we're shutting down the building for emergency maintenance. So we were like, fuck. So we haven't announced anything yet. We're still waiting on final confirmation. But currently, if you want to put something on your calendars, it looks like we are going to be downtown at the Baltimore War Memorial on Saturday, June 11th. So if you want to come out and support us, especially given the scrambling we've had to do over the last several days to get this moved and rescheduled, that would be swell. And in other video game music news, my band Quick Save will be playing BitGen Gamerfest in July. So that's July 30th at the Auto Bar, and tickets for that are on sale now. So.
And you know what? I'm also going to plug Micah's Instagram if you're a fan of like great photography, especially with like action figures and things of that nature. Micah's doing some good work over there. So all you have to do is follow Triskadeca_XIII on Instagram to check out some of his fantastic camera work that he is getting very good at.
Well, thank you very much. I was not expecting that at all. I fell down a rabbit hole during this pandemic, and it was weird, right? Because I never before had I been into like toys and stuff, and then one of these Doctor Doom toys came out, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I took a picture of it, and then I was like, oh, I could make that a little better. And then you do some research, and holy shit, right? Like there's a whole subculture that's just about this. So yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So
you do good work. If you ever want to borrow any of my weeb shit, let me know.
I actually might. I need to expand beyond the real regular superheroes and stuff.
So, well, Carrie and Micah get to go have a nice evening as Carrie's husband is playing Slay the Spire in the background, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Yes, it is. I could just tell from the briefest clips of like, Slay the Spire, which I've been playing a shitload of lately. And I'm gonna stay good and mad. So again, check out Look Forward this week if you wanna live vicariously through our anger with current events. So until next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.